Over the past few weeks, protests in Jerusalem intensified, escalating this week. On Tuesday, riots took place in 9 neighborhoods of East Jerusalem as a result of Israeli security forces closing the al-Aqsa mosque compound. Solidarity protests also took place in various West Bank cities and in Jaffa. The demonstrations were called for Tuesday because of rumors that Jewish right-wing settlers would attempt to enter the mosque to lay a cornerstone. They try to do so every few years and are always met with Palestinian protests. In 2000, settlers rushed the mosque in an incident that helped propel the beginning of the Second Intifada. Therefore, this time, Israeli security forces closed the mosque and large parts of the old city to Muslim men under 50. The military administration in charge of the occupied Palestinian territories also shut down the checkpoints to the entire West Bank for 5 days in an effort to suppress protests. Because the Al-Aqsa Mosque was barricaded, many men prayed on the streets, where they were promptly dispersed. The Real News spoke to Tawfiq Haddad, a Jerusalem-based journalist and author of Between the Lines, Israel, the Palestinians, and the U.S. War on Terror.
What we've seen over the past couple of days in the occupied Palestinian territories is the sort of eruption of a lot of demonstrations largely centered around Jerusalem. The reason for that is basically because Israel's been continuing its annexation and land confiscation policies and its colonization of Jerusalem in particular. Already Israel has around 12 major settlements in and around Jerusalem, which encircle it and cut it off from the rest of the West Bank. You have, the announcement recently of building 1,600 apartments. You have the eviction of families, refugee families, by the way, in the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. You have the impending demolition of perhaps 80 houses in the Bustan neighborhood of Silwan, which might evict somewhere around 1,500 Palestinians. You have supposedly excavations taking place beneath the Al-Aqsa Mosque the compound, which is one of the most holy sites for Muslims. So you have basically, and this in addition to Israel's occupation policies in Jerusalem, where Palestinians there have absolutely no political rights there. Israel does as it pleases there. But what we really see now is the fact that there has been an entire collapse of the peace process, so that there's no kind of cover that there is any political horizon as far as Palestinians are concerned. And what we also see is the fact that the international community, largely the Americans and the European Union, have not really done anything to stop Israel's policies. They make political statements saying that they call for the parties to come back to negotiations and to not affect the status of Jerusalem and things like that. But practical measures on the ground which would stop these policies, we don't see. And Netanyahu sort of knows that, and that right now you have a strong right-wing government which was elected on a platform that very clearly called for it to continue its colonization of Palestinian lands. And it's going about doing that and in a way calling the Western world bluff on this. They're not serious about stopping Israeli colonial policies. Basically, Israel has had a long-standing policy where the Palestinian population in Jerusalem cannot exceed more than 27-28%. That's according to people from the Ministry of Interior in Jerusalem who have written books about stuff like that.
The Western media reported 15 security personnel were injured. According to the Red Crescent, at least 118 Palestinians were also hurt on Tuesday.
A major important part of colonialism is denying the humanity of the people that you're oppressing, because if people are made aware that you're also oppressing and destroying the lives of humans, they feel like there's something inherently, seemingly unjust about that situation.
The injured man in this incident in the Al-Suwiya neighborhood was hospitalized in critical condition.
A grenade that it breaks into several other grenades. We can see one in fact here.
In response to the shock grenades, tear gas canisters, and rubber bullets, the Palestinian youth fired fireworks and threw stones. Many speculated whether these protests may be the beginning of a third intifada, or uprising, like those of the late 80s and early 2000s.
I don't think it's helpful to speculate about the onset of a new intifada or not. What's more important to notice is the fact that the Palestinians don't have clear ways in which they can achieve their rights. Like, they've tried armed resistance, that has failed. They have tried the international negotiations track, that has failed. And right now there is not a clear way that Palestinians feel that they can achieve their rights.
שראינו עכשיו כי אנחנו באמבולנס, נכנסו חיילים, תפסו איזה שתי בחורים, אחד מהם נפצע, המצב שלו ממש קשה, בראש שלו, בטח שנתנו לו מכות במקל בראש, נפתח את הראש בפנים, ליד העין שלו מתנפח, המצב ממש קשה, ואני ביקשתי מהקצין של המשטרה, של החיילים, לעשות לו עזרה ראשונה, והוא אמר לי, אתה לא יכול לעשות לו, כי אנחנו עושים לו טיפול משטרתי.
אז כשהמשטרה רצה ברחוב, מה הם עשו?
נכנסו, מתחילים לזה, יריבו על האנשים הבחורים, בטח הבחורים הם מהגיל, לא יותר מהגיל 16-17 שנה.
In this incident in the neighborhood of Ras Al Amoud, soldiers caught a pedestrian, and while 3 held him back, a 4th punched him in the face. At least 60 Palestinians were arrested on Tuesday alone. Many were detained by undercover police pretending to be Palestinians.
Israel has a wide arsenal of military means to suppress Palestinian opposition, dissent, protest, demonstrations, etc. And the use of undercovers, or what are known as musta'aribin, is one of the most horrifying ones from a Palestinian perspective. What it entails is that Israeli military personnel dress up like Arabs. They are armed. Sometimes they are masked, pretending to be Palestinian youth or whatnot. And in the middle of wherever, it could be in the middle of a demonstration, it could be in the middle of a Palestinian town, all of a sudden whips out their guns and either kills or arrests Palestinians.
The Jerusalem Municipal Police also approved for Sunday a contentious march into the Palestinian East Jerusalem neighborhood of Silwan. It has been the site of frequent settler takeovers of Palestinian homes, as well as home demolitions. The march will be led by right-wing settler leader Baruch Marzel, calling for more demolitions of Palestinian homes. Municipal police promised tight security for the settler marchers. It is expected they will be met with mass resistance from the local Palestinians.